Hello and welcome back to the Movie Attic. I'm Mike, and as I've said a million times, this is the Attic where I discuss and review movies, DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks for all the nice people out there in YouTube land. Today's big feature film, as if you couldn't guess from the thumbnail, is The Pied Piper. This was a Deaf Crocodile release. It's their deluxe edition of it. Nice sturdy box. Comes with, of course, a pretty good sized book with cool artwork, of course. Artwork on the case. There's the back of that if anybody wants to read that. I guess I could show the inside. Comes with 2 Blu-ray discs plus some inside artwork. If you're a long-time viewer of this channel, I highly doubt that. You probably know that I have this previous release of the movie from Deaf Crocodile, which this was released when they were still a partner label of Vinegar Syndrome. And of course, if I have both of these, then you know I double dipped on this whole deal. The reason I did, because one, I love these deluxe packages from Deaf Crocodile, plus that bonus disc has extra shorts by the director, Jerry Barta. So that's why I got that. Plus, this is a stop motion movie. I love stop motion movies. This one has a unique look to it. It's very kind of gothic, medieval looking. The people in the movie, most of them are carved out of wood, so it has a very, unique look to it. And if you know anything about, I don't know, Deaf Crocodile, they have these cards, which I guess you can buy the whole set, but every once in a while I'll get one in with my order, and both of those are from the Pied Piper movie. Oh, I have the stats. I know everybody's dying to hear these stats. It's from 1986. It's 53 minutes long, not rated, which, like I say, doesn't really mean anything. It could have like R-rated stuff in it and still be not rated on these things. It's in color. It's got a DTS HD stereo, which I guess is fine, but there is really no dialogue in this movie, so there's no real subtitles to read or anything. It's in the 1:37:1 aspect ratio and is a Region A Blu-ray disc. So there you have it. If you're familiar with for one thing, this movie's I would categorize it as a cautionary tale. And I like cautionary tales. Sometimes you get that stuff with like Twilight Zone and different shows like that. But I did have this other movie by Deaf Crocodile, Prague Nights, which is also a cautionary tale. And I think both of these movies were from Czechoslovakia. But I'm just here to talk about the Pied Piper movie. Maybe I'll review that one some other time. Like I say, I love stop motion. Most people know the basic story of the Pied Piper. This movie, and I don't know if this director wrote the screenplay or anything, but he kind of flipped this movie on its head a bit. In the other stories of the Pied Piper, there's children and stuff. There are no real children in this movie, except for one baby, and we don't know where this baby came from. I mean, I know where the babies come from, but I mean, you know. So the movie starts out, and here's one of these famous ramblings of what the story's about. This movie starts out with them kind of slowly zooming in on this town. And this town has a very cool aesthetic to it that I've seen before. Where the buildings are, like, none of the buildings are straight. They're all at, like, weird angles, and it has a very different look to it. And it put me in mind of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. It seems like the streets and the city kind of remind me of that movie. It has similar look to it. So anyway, they're zooming in on the town. At the opening of this movie, there's a giant, like, clock. There's the gears and everything you see going. There's an alarm that kind of goes off at dawn. And the alarm is basically two mechanical rats with hammers beating on this bell. Then they zoom to the city where all these people are working, and it seems like them working is right in sync with this clock. It's like their world revolves around this clock. And too, early on, they show like an aerial shot of part of the city, and it's kind of like a twisted, almost like a tornado like look to it, with a hole in the middle. In that hole, there's a guy minting coins. So and there's a lot of symbolism in this movie. I don't think I mentioned that. So that image itself kind of lends to that this town revolves around money. And you see that early on. These people are in the street or in shops buying stuff from people selling stuff. And they're negotiating back and forth. And in the negotiation, because there's no real language, you'll see, like, whoever's buying the guy selling will give, like, what he wants for the item, and it'll appear as coins coming out of his mouth. And then the person buying the same thing will say, well, no, not 3 coins, 2 coins. And 2 coins will come out. And then they'll go back. And they go back and forth and they keep getting angrier and angrier until finally... and they do this with like 4 different vendors. And in all the cases, they argue to the point where the person buying actually must grab the item, because then they're wrestling with the seller, literally wrestling, trying to get the item like they're stealing it. And the difference in this movie versus like the actual story of the Pied Piper, the rats are sitting in holes throughout the city and buildings, looking and watching this, and then emulating it. So in a real sense, it's the people of this town that are truly the rats. The rats are just copying them. And you find this throughout the movie, like different things will come up, you know, these the leaders of the town, they're kind of rich guys all sitting around eating and drinking in excess. The rats are watching that, and then they start to emulate that as well. But to go back to these people bartering, or not bartering, but buying and selling goods, because that rat saw the person buying take the item and try and get it, he in turn, I assume a he rat, but it could be a she rat, grabs one of the items off the thing and runs off with it. Well, then the townspeople all gather together and basically beat this rat to death. And after they do that, and it's a bloody mess, then you hear a heartbeat. Then that's when things really start going off the rails for the people, because then the rats start really stepping up their game, so to speak. Um, and the town is built on top of this, I don't want to say rat's nest, but it's a series of tunnels underneath the city where these rats live, and it's cut away, um, almost like an ant farm, if you've ever had one of those, where you can see all the tunnels and all that. And it put me in mind of Wes Anderson, always does those cutaway segments in his movies. So these rats, they finally get to the point of, being overrunning the city and stealing all the money and stealing all the different food and clothing and jewelry off of, these people who, there's only, they're the worst people in the world, and there's only one woman, I think, in the whole town who's even remotely, really nice. So after these rats, of course, overrun the town, the Pied Piper appears. He starts walking towards the town. He crosses this bridge, and there's a guy, I don't know if this is a river or a lake, but there's a guy in a boat, and he pretty much strictly is there to observe things, apparently. Like I say, there's a lot of symbolism in this, and boy, you can you can read a lot of stuff into this movie. So that's one thing I really liked about it. So this fisherman, he obviously is not from this town. I never see any fish in his boat, so symbolically, I think he's just a witness to this whole thing. So anyway, the Pied Piper comes over. They basically say they'll give him 1,000, whatever the coinage is. We'll just say dollars for to make things easy. So they'll give him $1,000 because he demonstrated what he could do, and so he plays his little song, and the rats follow him to this like tower thing where they jump off into the water. Which is another, I did forget to mention that there's another cool aspect is they actually used a combination of real live rats and then these kind of stuffed stop motion rats. So anyway, these rats all, of course, jump into the sea, and one of them, the last one, kind of turns back and tries to head back. Well, then the piper plays even louder and more intense, and he eventually turns around and jumps into the creek with all the other ones. And like I say, this guy in the boat witnesses all this stuff. So then the piper basically goes back to the people, that were going to pay him. They end up not paying him. The guy that was going to pay him dumped out a thing of coins, and there was a button in there, so he flipped the button to him. And of course, he didn't get his money. He gets upset. There's other events that take place, but I don't want to spoil this movie for anybody. And of course, he ends up going to this, this giant, I don't want to say bell tower, but this mechanical clock or whatever stops. For some reason, there's somebody in there, or I don't think it's a statue, but anyway, he's holding an hourglass, looks down at the piper. Then once the sand runs out, the clock actually stops. Then the piper starts playing his song. The people of the town turn into rats. And the same thing happens to them that happened to the animal rats. And same thing too as in the last one. To go over the edge, turns around, tries to go back, and then the piper plays, more intently. He turns around, jumps in the drink, and that's basically how it ends. But the last part of it is the fisherman comes out of the boat, goes up in front of the piper. He kind of, in my estimation, is a supernatural being, because when the fisherman goes up there, he goes to look at him, and it's just like his hood in his cloak or whatever that just kind of blows off into the wind, and there's no body inside of it. And the fisherman, the end of the movie, the fisherman's just walking through the town. Here's a baby. We don't know where this baby came from, because these people, none of these people except this one woman, and it isn't hers, I'm pretty sure. These people were so rotten, I can't even imagine any of them having this baby. So the end of it is this fisherman walking off with this baby to, I assume, wherever he really lives. And there's all kinds of other stuff in the movie. Like I said, I don't want to ruin the movie. And I think my previous recording of this video, this is like my third or fourth take of this, it was like 23 minutes long, and I'm like, this movie's only 53 minutes long. Who wants to watch a review, especially with me in it? That's 23, almost half the length of the actual movie. So I decided to reshoot this review and not give as much information about the actual story. Like I say, I thought it was kind of a unique telling of the story. I liked it, obviously. I've probably seen it at least 5 or 6 times now. I've been wanting to do a review of it for a while. Like I say, the movie's full of symbolism and a lot of stuff you can read into yourself. I didn't read the book, so I don't know for sure what my perception of it, if it's correct or what the director was going for. I did check out some of the bonus features. I watched those shorts that were the bonus in the one set that weren't in the other set. I watched a little making of, kind of like documentary, where they showed uh, how they were doing some of the stop motion, and they were carving like these figures in the movie are carved out of wood. They showed them making those, and I think that was all that I watched. I don't usually listen to audio commentaries, so I can't tell you how that was. But if I was to rate this movie, which I guess that's what everybody's here for, I'm sure you're not here just to see me. Uh, I would give this movie 8.5 rolls of pink insulation out of 10. I liked it, and actually, my wife watched it just the other day with me, which is very surprising. So, yeah, 8.5 rolls of pink insulation out of 10 is what I will go with. Uh, of course, if you've seen this movie or you have this version of the movie or this release of the movie, or even this one, or you just like stop motion in general, leave a comment down in the comments section. Like I say, I'd love to discuss it. I'd love to get your thoughts on what you thought of the movie, of course. So, I guess until next time I'm in the attic with a completely different movie, probably won't be a Deaf Crocodile movie. I just don't want to load up on one specific kind of movie. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully see you soon. Bye.